Our next speaker is a highly decorated combat veteran who has served with distinction as a commanding officer, special operations team leader, adjunct professor of leadership at the Naval Academy, and student commencement speaker for the George Washington University. Since retiring from the Marines, he has returned home to start a small vineyard, cattle ranching operations, and nonprofit, all while earning his doctorate in educational leadership and serving within our educational system. It's with great pleasure that I introduce to you Gilroy native Dr. Richard Ruiz.
So today I'm going to talk a little bit about what this expression of "oorah" means. Then I'm going to go into my story here in Gilroy and in the military. Spent over 21 and a half years in the Marine Corps. I'm going to talk a little bit about how I developed, right, into a leader and the things I did and things I learned and how I became a commissioned officer and led men into combat, direct combat, what I learned from that. Then I'll go into a little bit of what I learned from leading #1 organizations in the Marine Corps to teaching as an adjunct professor really quick. And then I'll recap with some of the things that I learned, right? What are the universal things that we see in every organization? Doesn't matter if you're battling in combat, doesn't matter if you're leading in the corporate America or whatever the case may be. So we're going to do that, okay? But I want to first start off with something, right? And it's this story of this lost teenager there, right? So my story in Gilroy is not one that I reflect back on with pride, okay? I grew up initially next to Flor de Jalisco. Anybody knows where that's at? There's little alleys over there in the east side Gilroy. Those are my first memories. A lot of domestic violence, mom leaving dad dragging mom, beating her, drinking and marijuana and all that stuff. And it was pretty rough, right? So I never played sports. And I know we got a lot of athletes here. I always revered them. I love going to the games. Never played soccer. Always wish my dad would fill out that form. He didn't even know how to read English, or my mom, because they're from Mexico. And football, right? The Pop Warner, right? Where the rich kids, in my mind, that's where the rich kids play football, and I wish I could have that opportunity. Never did. So I had the little chip on my shoulder. And then I flunked. I went to El Roble, flunked first grade because I couldn't even speak English right. Was a failure. Elementary school, then I was like, all right, let's take you to Brownell, somewhere different. Start all over again. Went there. Was always in the principal's office. Richard Emler. Anybody knew him or had him? I remember him. And now I'm an assistant principal. What a coincidence. But never got good grades, never played sports, never was in band. Parents never went to school. They didn't really, If I got a letter sent home, my dad would beat me drunk from work and coming home from the bars downtown Monterey Street, beat me up, beat my mom, and it was hard to be motivated. It was hard to, with no one saying, hey, you got it, son, believe in yourself. You got what it takes. Do good. We're here to support you. I didn't have that. So when I went to South Valley Junior High, same thing, almost got held back. Went to Gilroy High, lasted there for 2 years until I got expelled. And then eventually went to Mount Madonna, okay? Got pulled in a little bit to the gangs in the 90s. Some of you know what I'm talking about, right? Back in the days, we used to have something called the Dancing Days, the Running Man and all that stuff. That was the only good thing that I could reflect on. But again, it's nothing I'm proud of. If I reflect back to my time, there's nothing I could look at with pride, nothing that was inspiring. Got a girl pregnant my junior year in high school. Parents divorced, they moved away. My mom lost in her trailer somewhere where they were renting with this abusive relationships. My dad, a drunk, guy in Fresno, staying at different people's homes. So what I'm trying to tell you is, as I reflect back to this lost teenager, I had nothing. Probably the worst moment was when I had to break into a house just to have somewhere to sleep. laying on the cold carpet floor, shaking right there in the fetal position, just thinking about how messed up my life was and how worthless and unsuccessful I was. And just thinking to myself, like, man, how am I, what's the point? What's the point? Right? But then that other voice in our head, like, no, you got to do something. You got to change. So I did graduate high school from Mount Madonna, and I became a Marine. Now, the first day in boot camp, I remember laying in my bed, right, nestled in there, little bunk beds, right, and nobody could see me, so I started smiling. I had this big old smile, cheesy smile, like a little kid at a slumber party, and other boys around me or men around me were crying. Crying in bed. I miss my home. This is a stupid decision. One guy peed himself, and you see the pee on the ground. I'm just like, oh my God. I was like, what? I don't get it. I'm happy I got a nice bed. This bed's all warm, my toes all moving them. I was just like, and I'm like, man, I ate good today. Breakfast, I could have waffles or pancakes. Man, orange juice? Man, only rich people get all those juices and everything like that. And then for lunch, top it off, any soda I want. Are you kidding me right now? I'm like, are you guys lying to me right now? And a breakfast, a pie, different pies, it was amazing. It was amazing. And I thought to myself, man, they could yell at me, they could kick me, they could do whatever they want. I don't care. As long as I know every day, I'm going to eat breakfast, lunch, and dinner, and a bed. Like, go ahead, torture me. I don't care. Okay? That was my mindset. But what ended up happening is I went in thinking I was stupid, this low-life Mexican-American kid, loser kid, with nothing, literally nothing. Even now, I have nothing from my childhood. Everything was lost. I have nothing, physically, right? Nothing. It's like it never happened. And I found myself giving it everything I got, and I realized, man, my life has been a lie. My life has been a lie because I was told I was stupid, I was weak. I never knew, I never competed. And then I found myself, running, right? I realized, just so everybody knows, I thought I was kind of tall until I joined the military. And I was like, man, Gilroy makes you feel like you're kind of tall, when you live in Gilroy. But you go there, I'm like, man, I'm the shortest dude. The heck? But I couldn't believe it. I was running, right? Passing these just guys look like statues, right? Yoked out country boys, from Kentucky or whatever, black and white, big dudes, football players, a mixture of everything. And I find myself passing them up while we're running. I'm like, what? How's that possible? I'm this weak, short little, Mexican-American dude. Found myself doing more push-ups than them. Like, what the heck? More pull-ups, finishing things quicker. And I realized, man, I'm actually, I'm kind of strong, running 3 miles in 17 minutes. I'm like, how's that even? I don't even know what that is. I don't even know what mile times are because I never tried in PE. So essentially, I found myself, right, being a part of a team. And I started thinking, I was like, man, this is what they felt like in football. This is what they felt like in soccer. This is what they felt like, maybe probably even band. Right, this idea, right? I learned what camaraderie was like. I finally can look in the mirror and be proud. Finally. And I found myself being ready to give my life, right? And pushing my body, my mind, my soul to the limit. Because this was my second chance at life. So, during operations, boom, Ruiz, there's Ruiz. I got promoted ahead of my peers in 2 years, 10 months, I was a sergeant. They're like, hey, we want you to be a leader because you know what it means. Started getting these opportunities. Started just teaching people what leadership was about because of my merit. And then the Marine Corps said, hey, we are going to select 50 of the best Marines in all of the Marine Corps. And this is not based on how handsome you are, okay? It's not based on how beautiful you are, okay? It's based off your record and what you've done. And I was one of those Marines. We're going to send you to college. And we want you to get your degree. And when you get your degree, we're going to send you to officer school. And we want you to lead more people on a larger sphere. And that's what I did. Went to college. It was like a dream come true. This loser kid that was homeless, just like, was a nobody. Now I'm going to college. Like, what? How's this even possible? Graduated top of my class. Then, I appreciate it. Just so you know, from my associates all the way to my doctorate, I got 2 Bs, man. Ugh, 2 Bs. It really frustrates me. But even became a McNair Scholar. Study, why do Hispanic students drop out so much? What's going on there? Studied that way back then in college. But after I graduated college, they sent me to officer school, where now I'm competing against these amazing people. I'm talking about people that were like varsity athletes, all scholarships to universities, played college ball, and now they're these leaders, right? They didn't join after high school. They joined after, all this, and I'm just like, wow, I'm amongst giants now, right? And in this leadership school, you get ranked. There's 240 of us, from 1 to 240, and guess what? You're going to know exactly where you stand. And as a matter of fact, we're going to make it survivor style. You're going to evaluate each other and how you perform here. And I'm just like, oh my goodness, all right, let's do this. And one of my proudest moments is the fact that amongst my peers, I was ranked number 1 in leadership. And you got to ask yourself, why? Again, this loser lost kid, how does that happen? Ivy League, Harvard, Yale, these people, wealthy families. I'm just like, wow, I can't even speak on the same level. But I will say that it was because it was never about me. That's a saying that we have. It's not about you. It's not about you and your success. It's about everybody to your left and everybody to your right. So, after I got my commission, I got the true test of leadership. The leadership in combat.
We're going to send that right now to speed it up, and I think there might also be taking the full arms fire. If y'all can see it or not, so we're gonna, there goes Lieutenant Ruiz right there.
So they told me, you will lead men into combat. And that's one of our firefights there. We traveled throughout the whole countryside of Afghanistan. And helicopter, it's snatch and grabs, night ops, you name it, we did it all. And they sent our company, it was myself and 2 Marines. We were embedded with Afghans, okay, not with a bunch of Marines. Just me, 2 Marines, Afghans, fighting the Taliban. Anywhere where there was a hot spot, they would send us, because we were the recon company. And we'd go and we'd destroy the enemy. Everywhere we went. And we started to establish a reputation that, hey, you send them, they're going to get the job done. But what do you tell people that you're supposed to lead? You're supposed to lead. What do you tell them when you know you're going to go into the valley of death where nobody's been in there in 7 months because 21 United Nations people were slaughtered there? And no one's been allowed to go. And then all of a sudden they say, hey, you know what? We want recon company to go. What do you tell your people when they may not see their newborn daughter? How do you motivate? How do you inspire? You want to talk about leadership? How do you inspire someone that's not going to make thousands, not going to make millions, is not going to be on the news channels? No one's even going to know their name. And yet you have to lead them to their potential death. What do you say? It's not like we stay quiet. You're the leader. You're in charge of everybody. What do you say, right? How do you inspire people? So one of the lessons learned for me was that you have to be able to look at your men. And they need to be able to look at you and know that no matter what happens, whether your hand gets blown off, whether you get shot in the leg, whether you're burning, you're on fire, it doesn't matter, that they know you're going to have that strength. You're going to have that strength to push through the pain. Doesn't matter. You could be crawling on your little nubs because you got blown up, but they know that you are the leader that will crawl on those nubs to protect and put your body over your man so he don't get shot. That's what they need to know. Because they know that you would rather die. You would rather die before dishonor them and dishonor yourself. That is the epitome right there of the lesson learned when you're in combat. Okay? So sorry to get all crazy on you guys, but I'm sorry. I just get in my little zone. But people, say, all right, yeah, you were decorated for heroism and combat, this and that. And let me tell you right now, that's not even what really I reflect on with pride. So I'm going to give you a little vignette, little story, okay, about what I learned about leadership and just how to change this world, right, in a good way. So, like I said, for 7 months, I had been everywhere, and they said, all right, Lieutenant Ruiz, you got 2 months. What we're going to do, since you guys have been active, we're sending you to a valley the size of pretty much like South Santa Clara County. So imagine from San Jose all the way to Gilroy, and they're saying, you're the officer in charge. Your company, recon company, is going to go in and take over this area and run operations here, okay? So we went in. First day, we're going in. And then the other company leaves. And I'm the new officer in charge of this whole area. Right away, boom! Like, oh, damn, get cover, All right, right away, we just got there. It was the welcoming committee. I was like, damn. And it stopped. We returned fire. Hey, grid coordinates, blah, blah, blah. Use the vector where you could see where it's coming from. And boom, we got, rounds down range. Turned some people to pink mist that day. But it was like, man, I got 2 months. How am I going to stop this? When is this ever going to end? How are we going to win this war? Everywhere I go over there and we take over and crush them. But then what happens with their sons, their daughters, when they grow? It's the same cycle. It's like gang violence. Never ends. Stupidity. So next to the fire, on that evening when I was just sitting there just thinking deep, like, man, is this where I'm going to die? What's going to happen? How do I change this? This is insanity. So I said, all right, 7 months. I learned the language. I learned the culture, cultural competent here, the Afghan culture. I said to myself, what would a man of honor do? An Afghan man of honor. If I've lived with them, ate with them, I ate with my hands. But I ate tortilla too, so it's like no big deal. So they're like, oh, you do that good? I was like, yeah, we kind of have something like that. But so I told them, I'm the new guy. They already tried to kill me. They let it be known. I said, hey, send a message to everybody in the valley that I want to throw a shura for them. Everybody's like, huh? Like even my Afghan counterparts like, what? Chias? And I was like, yes, I want to do that. And I want the best mutton, the best beef, the best rice, the best chai, the best naan, everything. And everybody's like, what? And I want them to come into our combat outpost. Oh my God, he lost his dang old mind. He lost his mind. I was like, no, we'll control. We'll check them, make sure they don't have IEDs on them, make sure they don't have the weapons. They're going to come in. I want them in our home. So this one now it spread like wildfire. It was the talk of the valley, hey, this crazy new guy, right? So everybody came. Everybody came. And they were all sitting down, right? So imagine pretty much the size of everybody here right now. Everybody was sitting down. Everybody was talking. You could tell like they haven't seen each other in years. They're like, hey, kind of like what we do. Hey, what up, man? I haven't seen you in a long time. How's mom? Blah, blah, blah. They're doing their little thing. They're talking. They're drinking. They're just there sitting down because they all sit down and they're eating and everything. And then I walk up and I want you to pay attention. Pay attention to how I'm walking up right now. Pay attention to my face. Okay? Hardcore Muslim men that have been trying to kill me right away, and then just been fighting and killing back and forth. I walk up, right? No weapon. I'm not wearing my plates. I'm not wearing my helmet. All that's off, and I'm walking up just like this, okay? And think about what they thought and what they felt. Assalamu alaikum. All of them. All of them immediately have to. If you're Muslim, you have to reply to me. And I knew this. So when I said, Salaam alaikum, all of them said, wa alaikum salam. And they look up bamboozled, like, what the heck? We thought it was a Muslim, like, what's this guy fooling us over here? Then I say, Chatorasti, Bahairasti, Jonah Joras, Ruiz está, Ruiz está. Because I had learned their language at this point, right? Because I was like, hey, if I can speak Spanish, I can learn other languages. So I tell them, I have a father like you. And they're all looking, you can hear a pin drop. It went from talking to just everybody's like a deer headlights. I have a father like you. I have a mother like you. I have 3 sons and a wife with child in America. And I believe in Allah like you. And today, I stand here before all of you because I am a man of honor like all of you. What a coincidence that after I did this, there was no more RPGs, no more IEDs on the road, no more rockets. People were leaving gifts at the front gate right there. What a coincidence that now we had peace. And as a matter of fact, I left, a guy replaced me, the guy did his deployment, he came back, he's like, dude, man, I didn't get no action. I was like, well, be grateful. And he's a lawyer now, be grateful. Get married, have kids, live happily ever after. But to me, I get it. You know, people talk about war and medals and this and that. You know what? The world doesn't really need that. What we need is people that are prepared to establish those relationships, to not think that they're above everybody else, that, speaking their language is below me. I'm not going to roll my R. But I even did that, right? You know, I'll do whatever. I'm not above nobody. But that's what the world needs, right? And we can learn a little bit about that in America, especially where it's all English, and we should learn a little bit of everything, okay? So what I learned from that really was that idea of compassion and love. And I'm sure some of you have seen this quote. You could be the strongest, you could be the smartest, you could be the sexiest, whatever you want to call yourself, but no one's going to care unless they know that you truly care about them. And that's kind of what I learned from the combat deployment too, is that they saw that, hey, I cared enough to learn their language, their culture, and humble myself. And as a leader, when I became in charge of 250 Marines, right, crazy Marines, I love them, I learned that we kept winning everything. We kept just destroying all other companies and everything we did and the enemy because they knew it was real. They knew that what I brought to the table, that my connection with them transcended the Marine Corps, transcended this organization. It went beyond, and it still does to this day. I went on recruiting duty. I worked next to Morgan Stanley, right? This is the high society of recruiting. They're like, all right, let's send this guy. He did good in combat. Let's see what he does in the recruiting world, right? There I am. Everybody's in ties. I'm wearing the Marine Corps tie in the elevator with all these millionaires and stuff. And in recruiting operations, we become number 1 west of the Mississippi, really, in the whole country, but we just don't like making them feel bad on the other side. But we crushed it. And it had nothing to do with me because it wasn't about me. It was about the fact that people knew that I would do everything it took to facilitate their success by being 100% real, honest, and loving. And I'll go into some of the tips a little later, but I just want to emphasize that a lot of success was met, right? And as a result, the Marine Corps pulls 404 of the most competitive captains in all the world in all different places. And they look at their records. Okay, and they select 3 to get their masters at George Washington. They're like, you're going, and you're going to teach leadership at the Naval Academy. I'm like, roger that, sir. You know, I went, and then, became the commencement speaker, right? Because, hey, if I'm going to go, I'm going to represent Gilroy. How about that? Gilroy was up in that house right there. I was so proud, because I was like, this guy from Gilroy is going over here and doing good things in the name of my city. But there I met, I ate with Tim Cook, had drinks with the head of NASA. And yes, I asked him about aliens, and that's classified. I can't share that with you right now. But he was surprised, but hey, I'm authorized, or I was authorized to hear classified information. But I taught, had fun, just had this amazing time. But what I wanted to point out is, as I was getting ready to transition out of the Marines, the former CEO of Pepsi, he came to my office. That was actually my office for a class. I said, let's get out of the classroom. Let's go to my office, and we're going to have a shura. I'm going to teach you something, right? But we're there in my office, and we talked for 3 hours. We were just talking back and forth. Yeah, he's like, we're the same humans. We're the same. He's like, you need to be a CEO one day. He's like, look, this is what we're going to do. You're going to have lunch with the Instagram CEO. He's coming, tomorrow. We got a little CEO mafia thing going on, I guess they have. I was like, wow, okay. And I didn't go. He's like, all right, this is what we're going to do. Here's the email to the CEO of Clorox. So when you go get into Morgan Hill, and he told me he was in Africa at the time. He's like, when I get back from Africa, let me know when you come in, and we'll have lunch, and we'll talk about how we can get you in operations. And I'm like, all right, that's cool. I didn't call him. Because what I had learned up to now, right, was that what's the point of having the ability to change organizations, be able to have this impact, amazing change, just to make somebody money? I'm sorry, that just wasn't me. That wasn't my core, right? I almost gave my life for my brothers and my sisters. So for me, I said, you know what? If I have any little tiny bit of talent, just maybe, our kids and our education system can benefit from it. And that's the path I chose. That's the path I chose right there. And some people, you're stupid. I can't believe you give it up. It's all good, okay? It's all good. So I want to get back to some of the things that I learned, okay? And you don't have to memorize these, and I'll just hit some of them, and some will probably resonate with you, right? But there's a lot of talk about be a good leader. Just, stick your chest out and say good things. The reality is, if you really want to lead an organization to break ground, to beat everybody, to just create with this innovative new procedures and discovery, you're going to have to start by doing things that you don't have to do, that your job description does not say. And a lot of these examples, right? King of the Lance Corporal Underground is basically, think about that disgruntled person you work with that complains about everything. Who can think of a person like that? Yeah, don't lie. Don't lie. You think that's who that is. Talk to that person. Really embrace them instead of being away from them because they're toxic. Embrace them. Ask them what's going on. If you don't know your people's names, I'm sorry. I'm sorry. I got a bad memory, but if I can remember 150 people's names, you can too. And if you need help, just let me know. I'll give you a little tip. I have a little strategy. Okay? I went into my new school. I knew everybody's names. Everybody's in shock. Like, what the? Hey, he knows my name. How does he know my name? You should. Are you a leader or not? Figure it out. All right. The other one is emotional. It has to be personal. A lot of people are like, well, it's professional. This is my job. This is the line. Don't cross it, whatever. Great. Do that. You'll never really exceed. They'll never give you more than they even believe they can give you, okay? If you want to keep it that way. And I'm just trying to be raw and real with you right now, so I don't know, take it how you want, but I'm telling you, every place, same thing. Acts of kindness, really quick. I told my commanders, give me the worst Marines for my company, right? Anyone, like Marines that get in trouble, send them to me. They're like, man, this guy really is crazy. Send them to me. What I ended up finding out on Christmas Eve, those Marines that got in trouble, that did the worst, they were the ones that were never adopted. Think about that. No one ever adopted them. They turned 18. They joined the Marines. They've never known what family is. And I found that out on Christmas Eve. Why do you think I found that out on Christmas Eve? Why do you think? Because where was everybody else at? Home. So, I cook brownies all day. My wife taught me. Well, all day. And I made it a point to talk every time, every single Marine I talked to on a personal level. It doesn't matter, I found time, okay? I wrote him a personal note that only we knew. Baked the brownies, Christmas Eve, dropped them off at all their doors. What a coincidence that after that, and everybody found out, and then they saw me. One almost cried right there in front of me because he heard. He's like, what the heck? Opened his door. I was like, oh, because he was the only one that was still awake, you know. And he gave me a hug and said, thank you. But what a coincidence that after that, they were these squared away Marines. Their uniform looked all good now, you know, full, walking around a little bit more like, you know, like they meant something. You know, how about that? Did I have to do that? Do you have to do that? But are you going to do that? That's the real question. Are you prepared to do those things that you don't have to do? And last one right there is just leadership by example. How many of you work for somebody that they're like, hey, make sure you get that thing right there, pick it up, and don't forget to, turn off this or do whatever, and they go on the computer looking on the internet, Amazon. Are you guys done yet? Like, what the heck? Well, it's not my position, it's not my job, whatever. Exactly. It's not your job, don't do it. Yeah, you're good, you're up here, your ego's up here. Great for you, but you're never going to achieve greatness. Telling you right now. Okay, so here's some other ones. I'll go through really quick. I know this is the kind of the science part, but I want to give you some little nuggets of different things that you can kind of think about here. But if you don't know the pulse of your team, and I know a lot of the coaches, you get this, right? When something's going on in school or whatever, you can feel when something's not right, right? Something's not right, you just feel it. You better know it. If you don't know it, guess what? You just gave up an opportunity to address it and break everybody out of it. Or if they're feeling great or whatever, how about like giving that little speech everybody just wants you to acknowledge and say something? Do it. That's it. Do it. Know the pulse of that team. Send that email, do something, okay? And enthusiasm, what it boils down to is when you walk up to somebody, right, that works in your organization, and you look at your coach or you look at your coworker, do you look at them and be like, man, that person just gives me strength and motivation? Or are you kind of like, oh, he's so annoying. She's so annoying. Oh, my gosh, oh, my gosh, right? And can they look at you and know that you're crazy with confidence? That you know you just will not accept failure. A lot of times my own bosses are like, after I left and, we're number one, this, that, and the other, my bosses come up to me and say, hey, Rich, I got to be honest with you right now. I really thought you were crazy when you said you were going to do this because there's no way I could see that happening, right? I'd rather have that than failure, right? I'd rather you think I'm crazy, but then once I produce results, then you're like, wow, right? That's how you got to be. Don't be hurt because you're going to fail and you're all dwelling on the hurt and like, oh, no, it's embarrassing, right? Get over it. Be a leader, okay? Decentralized leadership, just basically everybody needs to know everybody's job. So I know, in football we can relate to that, right? You know what everybody's doing. It's no different in the workforce, okay? The same with ownership, accountability. What I do want to say for accountability, because this is the biggest glitch in innovation right here that I have seen. You have either you're related to somebody, you're dating somebody, you think somebody's hot, or, there's something where you're not going to address an issue. You're ignoring it. It's kind of like that paper on the ground that everybody walked by. Big old white paper right there. Everybody's like, hey, what's up? All day you guys are working. And, let the janitor handle that. Address the issue. Be that kind of person that's humble enough to take care of business, okay? So I hope some of these tips right here, kind of make something ring in you, make you think of something. But I just want to share, these are my lessons learned, right? In all the organizations I've led, we've always magically just, by luck, become number one, right? But I've seen that these are kind of the reoccurring themes, right? But if you want to sum everything up, this is what I sum it up to. This concept of URA. They all ties in there. This camaraderie, right? When people see you and see each other, are they proud? Or they're like, it sucks to work here. When they look at you as a leader, each other, you're like, man, this guy's so awesome. Every time I need help, he's always there. Or this boss, man, he's so cool, man. Last time, I couldn't get this done and they helped me out. Man, he was working late because he was making sure this got done or she was making sure this gets done. Do you inspire that strength? Can they look at you and say, you know what? I know for a fact this person is not going to lie, is not going to cheat, and is not going to steal. Because in this organization, that person, even though the temptation has been there, they always held the line. And they stood on that high moral ground like, nah, hey, we can't. It's not the right thing to do. Do they see that in you? Can you see that in yourself? And the last one is that love, right? Those brownies. Being in front of people that just try to kill me. And telling them like, hey, I'm like you. I just want peace. I have a family. I got parents. I didn't come here for war. Do you have that love? Do you demonstrate that love? Past the football, you see together, golfing or whatever, or, beyond your organization. Can people look at you in the eyes and say, you know what? This relationship's forever. That's that love right there. That family that you establish. If you can't do that, don't be expecting them to be this amazing organization outperforming everybody, okay? So hopefully today, everybody learned something, and now, whenever anyone hears, now you kind of know what it means. Thank you very much, everybody.